I mean, it's probably all some switcheroo nonsense, and he's actually just secretly Tony Stark from another universe who's pretending to be Doctor Doom, and Doctor Doom's really mad about the copyright infringement, and that's how all of the war happens. Welcome to the Skippy and Fanny Show in 2025, and may God and whatever force of justice have mercy on us all.
I don't control the wind, I just study it. Yoshi Toranaga.
I'm Shaun.
I'm Trish.
I'm Paul.
David.
And today we're going to share updates on the show, exciting things to come in the new year, what we most enjoyed in 2024, and what we're most looking forward to in 2025 using our infamous arbitrary narrowing system developed by robotic groundhog prognosticators. I don't remember who wrote that, but it must have been me at some point.
Sounds like a you line, not a Daniel line.
Before that, some announcements for our listeners and viewers out there.
Do we have announcements?
We do, I guess. Yes, so announcements. We're going to keep doing the Twitch thing. 7 p.m. every Friday, generally every Friday. The Skiffy and Fanny Show will be up on twitch.tv/alphabetstreams doing our shows live so you can come and enjoy them. This year, we need to reach more ear hole thingies because, frankly, I don't want to be on social media as much anymore. It's so depressing. So we really could use help spreading the word, letting more folks know about the show, forcing your neighbors to listen to us, possibly even buying a stereo speaker system and blasting our show obnoxiously through your neighborhood. Anything at all that would get more people on the show.
Shaun, consent is sexy, Shaun. You can also help support the show by joining our Patreon, patreon.com/skiffyandfanties. Supporting our Patreon helps us upgrade our equipment, helps us with web hosting, with other fees and titles and other expenses because running a podcast isn't free. Special announcement there if you didn't know that. Running a podcast isn't free, so supporting our Patreon supports helping us do this ridiculous show.
And you get stuff for it, by the way. So you can join our Patreon Discord, which is full of nice people being nice and sharing nerdy things, talking about books and movies and all kinds of silly stuff. But in addition to that, you get our Speculative Dispatch show, which I am late on getting edited and out, but you will be getting a whole crap load of them very soon, Patreon supporters. And also, you get to join us for things like the Torture Cinema Live Watch at certain levels, where you can watch the movie that you also picked, by the way, because you get to vote in the polls on the Patreon. You get to watch it with us, which I think is a great enticement to want to join. Just me personally, because we're watching like true marvels of cinema. David knows what I'm talking about. Flying Serpent, right?
That is a marvel. That's the true marvel.
And then I will just say, in addition to the continued format, the other thing I'll say is we're going to continue with some specific shows we kind of started last year, Mining the Genre Asteroid and SF at School. Those will continue. They won't necessarily be like every single month, but they will continue to be shows we do periodically throughout the year because we're having fun. And then some other shows are coming back, which we'll probably talk about in a minute because I'm excited about one in particular. And so expect that. We are doing interviews. We're scheduling quite a few of them at the moment. So expect some interesting voices on the show. And I think that's about it. Yeah. So, yeah. Oh, and last thing. There are a handful of episodes that we recorded last year that haven't been released yet. They are coming. And I say a handful because most of them are out. I think it's like 5 or 6. And then all of the Righteous Kicks episodes that I'm behind on are going to eventually come out. I am going to get this year because I'm going to stay on top of things despite the fact that I don't have a soul left anymore. So there we go. Okay. So let's get on with looking back. We're going to go backwards in time. Each of us has thought, as it says in the script, thought meticulously about what we most enjoyed in 2024 and have narrowed it down to one book thing, one media thing, and one other possibly geeky thing. So we're going to start with Paul.
That's what you wrote on the thing. You should start with Paul.
We're going to start with
I
you.
don't know why.
So
I don't know why you're going to start with me, but
go on, do your thing, Paul.
Do my thing. You're talking about books. Oh boy, you might even think that's kind of something I might even have won an award for at some point.
Paul.
Well, yes, I know. Miracles do happen in the universe. So, the book I want to talk to you about is a very strange and wonderful and interesting post-apocalyptic fantasy called The Naming Song by Jedediah Barry. It's set after some sort of cataclysm, some sort of disaster, which has kind of made a hard reset, not only on society, but on reality itself. Concepts aren't articulated until certain people speak them into existence and bring them to life. And our characters live in a world where the concept of treason doesn't really exist till somebody creates it and disseminates it. So it's a wonderful story that centers around a pair of sisters, one trying to find her lost sister and her travels through this world while being chased by a, frankly, authoritarian force. Not that it's not topical or anything, that wants to control all and sundry and basically lock down basically the nature of reality when it comes down to it. Once again, the author is Jedediah Barry. As a side personal note, my friend, the late Howard Andrew Jones, who passed away recently, he was the one who turned me on to this book. So early last year, he said, "Hey, there's this book coming out by my friend Jedediah Barry that you might be interested in. Let me connect you, two of you." And so I got connected with Jedediah, so I got to read an early version of this book. So, not to make it too personal, every time I think of this book, I only think of Jedediah Barry and of the plot and of the very strange and interesting and immersive world building and writing. I also think of my friend, the late Howard Andrew Jones. So my book for 2024 has to be The Naming Song.
Excellent. All right, I think it goes to Trish then.
Okay, sure. I read a lot of great books last year, and circled around on what to put. Certainly the Hugo Award winner, Some Desperate Glory by Emily Tesh was super and much, way better than I was expecting it to be. But I think what the kind of book that, is most important, and it was an awfully fun book too, was by Andrea Hairston, the third in a series, but you can jump right in with this one. It's called Archangels of Funk, and it is a near-future, post-semi-apocalyptic water war thing that includes tech and magic. The protagonist is someone who used to be a high-tech coder who is now trying to make a collective work and trying to stop the tech bro neighbors from encroaching. And meanwhile, there are ghosts and spirits and trying to put everything together, trying to keep co-creating this hopeful future together. And, parts of it are harsh and jangly, but it's also super hopeful and fierce and happy. So I recommend it. Let's see. How about David? Do you have a favorite book from last year?
My favorite was Tim Robey's Box Office Poison, Hollywood Story in a Century of Flops. And it is very much what it says on the tin. He takes us through everything. He begins with intolerance and ends with cats, which he makes a convincing case might actually be the last of the classic flops, because then the COVID period arrived and everything was a flop. And the theater industry is in the cinema theater industry is not this has never been the same since. And it's an absolutely fascinating book, riotously entertaining. The as he takes us through also the likes of Freaks, Dune, Sorcerer, Speed Racer, Supernova, the Magnificent Ambersons, on and on, just breaking down, went wrong, and appreciating the films where they need to be appreciated, but just giving us an absolutely riveting story of the catastrophes that befell the productions. So highly, highly recommended. It's the most fun I've had in a film book in quite some time.
Well then.
Ron, what have you got?
Sure. So I'm gonna mention probably a book that won't surprise many people, but Susan Palumbo's Countess. Because you tell me you're going to have a queer Caribbean anti-colonial sci-fi novella, and you put it in book
Based
form.
on the Count of Monte Cristo.
Yeah, that's generally going to get me interested, because like one of my favorite Caribbean novels is just this, but now with regular pirate ships. So yeah. So I really, really enjoyed this book. We got to interview her for the show, so that certainly helps cement it in my memory. It's a very interesting book. It does some, I would say it's unabashedly anti-colonial, which I appreciate because, frankly, living in the world that we're living in now, I just kind of want more books that deliberately punch the angry dog in the nose. And so, yeah, it's very good, by the way. I strongly recommend it. It deals with a lot of very interesting, as Paul was saying, elements of the Count of Monte Cristo, but done in a sort of far future, massive colonial empire, and does some really fun stuff with it. So I strongly recommend it. Go. Read it. Do it or else. Oh, and Steven says in chat, she's Canadian.
Huh?
Which also helps. Well, then I guess we go back to Paul, and we'll do movie thing or movie TV thing, media object.
Media object.
Yeah.
It is no surprise to any of the listeners or to my co-hosts that one of my heart shows is the original Prisoner, starring and created by Patrick McGoohan. I've watched The Prisoner ever since a long weekend in 1989 where they decided to put it on as a marathon on Channel 50 on Long Island in New York, and I taped all those episodes so I could watch them again and again, and I watched them again and again until the tapes fall apart. Then came the expensive DVD set, then came a Blu-ray set. I watched through all those, but this year, a brand new Blu-ray set came out of Australia, and I had to buy it. I had to make it my own. This new version has all the episodes. It has the alternate chimes of Big Ben. It has an alternate arrival, which I've never even heard of existed before, with different music and slightly different scenes. It's got a bunch of movies in the making of, and even best of all, for those who like Danger Man, it has every Danger Man episode that has a connection to The Prisoner in one way or the other. So this Blu-ray set has just, if you want to watch The Prisoner, if you're a fan of The Prisoner, this Blu-ray set, I should have gotten the name of the people who make it, but basically has it all for you. This is all Prisoner all the time. Be saying you. So we'll go to Trish.
Oh, me again. Okay. All right. So my favorite media thing from last year, there were many things that I enjoyed watching, old and new. But the one thing that was really appointment streaming for me every week as soon as I could schedule it with the people I was co-watching with was not a speculative fiction item. It was the 2024 version of Shogun, which was absolutely riveting and fascinating and gorgeous and emotionally moving. I had watched the 1980 Richard Chamberlain starring Shogun, and that was great at the time. A 5-episode mini series, but it very much centered Richard Chamberlain's character Blackthorn. This series does not center Blackthorn. He is a hapless, often shown as stupid and wrong person washed up in 1600s or 1500s Japan, and he's the entry in for a lot of Western world viewers, I suppose. But what the real show really concentrates on is the amazing court intrigue of struggling to control the Regency Council for the underage emperor. Great dialogue, wonderful intrigue, wonderful costuming, beautiful, and totally immersive, and it was just absolutely fabulous. So I highly recommend Shogun for anyone who happened to miss it.
I can co-sign that. It is writing kind of almost like it's like a secondary world portal fantasy without the fantasy, as poor Blackthorn is thrust into a culture he knows zero about and has to stumble around figuring out his way. So it's genre adjacent at the very least.
Absolutely. Stephen rightly points out in chat that Gary K. Wolfe has said on more than one occasion that historical fiction is speculative fiction adjacent because there's so much world building involved. And I know they did hire a huge number of Japanese costume designers and consultants and everything. So very much a co-production.
Cool. David, it's on to you. Media object.
Horror continues to have what amounts to a new golden age. There's been so many great films, and I think perhaps my favorite theatrical experience of 2024 was going to The Substance. And it was sharp and clever and funny and absolutely uncompromising at every level. And to see the audience around me simultaneously writhing in nauseating horror while laughing their heads off at the same time was a real treat. And if the fact that a film that climaxes with an explosion of gore, the like and scale of which we have not seen since Peter Jackson's Dead Alive, with its 13,000 gallons of stage blood, this should be nominated for Best Picture among others. It certainly warms my heart. So that was my favorite. Certainly a cinematic event of last year.
Fantastic. Well, then it comes to me.
What have you got?
Comes to you. Yes.
So I'm gonna say that the media thing that I've enjoyed the most is mostly semi-selfish, because we were very fortunate that a company called Strike Media was willing to send us screeners for some films, mostly horror and then sort of sci-fi thriller adjacent creepy. And one of those films is called Things Will Be Different, which came out last year, did the festival circuit, and then had a release of sorts. Very much an independent film, didn't have a lot of money, but did what I thought was a very remarkable job from a film perspective, from a writer and director's first debut, their first theatrical or not full-length debut. The director and writer is Michael Felker. The film is flawed. I'm not going to say it's a perfect film. We have a review up on that Daniel and I did about the film. It's certainly got its issues, but I think that this is one of those really cool moments where I see a film, I can see a lot of the director's sort of vision and whatever it was that limited them to fully make this film work. I want to see what happens in their next film, because I'm now very hooked on how they direct, the way they tell story, and I really want to see what he does next. Felker, I think, is a really good director, and given a bit more time and support working in the medium, I mean, he could be doing some really freaking cool stuff with genre fiction, including potentially David horror, possibly some good horror. So that's what I will say. I just really enjoyed the film, even though I could see its flaws. I just love being able to see the potential, right? There's just so much more potential here. Also, the acting, really, I thought the acting was really, really good. Adam David Thompson and Riley Dandy were the main actors. I just thought they were really remarkable in the film. So, A+. Also, watch it. You might like it. All right, so then we are on to geeky other object thing to Paul.
All right, so 2024 was my first overseas trip since the pandemic started. And that overseas trip happened to be to Scotland. So I got to go to Scotland, and in particular got to go to Glasgow in 2024 to attend the World Science Fiction Convention, which was a ball. Even aside from the phallic-shaped objects that I won. Oh, one anyway. I only have one, not two statues. Even aside from that, it was great to see people. It was great to get back in the genre community. I want to give a verbal shout out to Olaf and Amanda for taking me onto their team and unleashing me as a photographer at Worldcon. Olaf let me borrow his big 80-200 f2.8 lens, and I used that thing like a tank. I got to go on stage and shoot from the wings. I got to meet Samander Beert from Baldur's Gate 3 as they did their D&D live game with Cypher running it. I had an amazing time. I had an amazing time at Glasgow. And then on top of all that, I got to see a little bit of Scotland. Yes, I puked on a boat in the North Atlantic. It's true. But I got to see abbeys. I got to see castles. I got to see quasi-mountains. I had a great time in Scotland. I didn't quite realize how much I missed traveling outside of the United States until I finally got to travel outside the United States for the first time in 5 years. So that's my other geeky thing for 2024, my trip to Scotland and to Glasgow in particular. Trish.
Okay, so my favorite other thing is sort of a media thing, but it was a total surprise that I was not expecting. I have long been a fan of Mike Duncan's podcasting. He is an amateur historian who has made a career out of being a history podcaster and then a novelist. He's famous for The History of Rome podcast, which is a couple of 100 episodes, I think, and for his Revolutions podcast, which started with an English Revolution, the American Revolution, moved on through history, did a horrific and great podcast series on the Haitian Revolution, for example, and then he finished up with the Russian Revolution, and he said that was it. He was done. He was just gonna write and do other things from now on. But in October, I never erased the podcast because, from my catcher, because I thought, well, maybe he'll do an announcement about something. And what to my surprise, in October, episode 11.0 dropped, the prologue to the Martian Revolution. So he has taken everything that he's learned in hundreds of episodes about revolutions of the past and applied that in projecting what might happen with colonizing Mars and how that would go forward, because he projects a corporate colonization and increasing strain and eventual revolution. And he is taking past trends, current events, and people involved in space technology right now, let's say. Lots of subtle and not so subtle references to the ways that tech bros make unfortunate decisions. And anyway, so the last episode, I think, was called 3 Days of Red. Anyway, I've just been agog and loving everything that he does it. He's also throwing out references to other science fiction authors. There's a KSR Development Corp or something like that division, which is obviously a reference to Kim Stanley Robinson and his Mars trilogy. So it's just fabulous, and that's every day. That's I don't hold on to that podcast. It drops, I listen.
Yeah, I had erased Revolutions out of my podcast because I figured he said he was done.
Right.
So you I think it was you who told me, hey, did you know there's a new Revolutions process? I said, wait,
right,
what?
right.
And now it is appointment listening for me too. Absolutely. He's turned into a science fiction writer, taking his amateur history that he's taken from the books he's written and the revolutions he's studied, and now turned into a science fiction podcast about a revolution on Mars. How can you not love this? If you haven't listened to it, listeners, go ahead and listen after you finish the show.
Yep. Okay, David?
Oh, my other is another media thing. It's All the Hauntsby Hours, Volume 2, a compendium of folk horror. It's the second such Blu-ray box set from Severin Films, curated by former Winnipegger Kayla Janice. And the first volume, the first set of All the Hauntsby Hours was an absolutely astonishing box set. The second one is even better. You get in this set, you get 24 movies from 18 countries. So you've got the U.S. and Britain and Poland and Japan and Indonesia and Saudi Arabia and on and on and on. You've got feature length, you've got short features, you've got animated. You've got a 250 plus page hardcover anthology of folk horror fiction that's in on it, and it included with all the various commentaries and essays, and it's just a truly monumental work that I cannot recommend highly enough. The two of them, the two sets together are absolute musts. Very much at the top of my list of the things that Severin has put out, and they put out a lot of truly amazing work.
Fantastic. Okay. So mine is not really geeky per se, but I don't care because I'm going to edit this show and I produce this show and I can violate the rules all I want. And so you guys can eat it up because mine is sappy, not geeky. And that is that last year, my family got to finally be together. And so we went through that whole immigration process. I won't get into the details. It was long and it sucked. But then we got to finally be together. They got on a plane, they came over here, and now we are doing all the normal family activities, like dealing with children stuff and school things and wife and husband things and eating delicious food and going on adventers and occasionally having to explain that I'm not an alcoholic. I just like to try beer. I really am. I just like to try beers. I don't know what to tell you guys. Iowa Tap House. Go to the Iowa Tap House if you're ever in Des Moines. Trust me, you can try one of the 8 trillion beers they have on tap there, and you can only try enough.
Shaun, when I went to Vietnam, we went to two brew pubs. I'll point out 2.
And those were the only ones I took you to.
Exactly.
Well, you do know, like, I think I'm the only person who has written like a fairly comprehensive guide to craft breweries in Ho Chi Minh City, because I've been to pretty much every craft brewery.
You're a matter expert now.
Yeah, the next time I go there, though, I'm gonna have to do some updating because there's a few more that have opened up. So, yeah. Anyway, in case you're wondering, Asia's craft brew game is about as good as the American game. So there you go. I don't know what it's like up in Canada, David, but you can probably tell me at some point.
I have absolutely no idea. I don't actually like beer.
Oh, well, that's okay. More for me. Not really. I don't drink that much. Okay, so then we're moving to 2025 then, which is wonderful. And so, Paul, according to legend, you like some things coming out this year. And so what is the book thing that you're looking forward to? Go.
Okay, so I actually vacillate between two of my favorite authors on this one. So I'm going to go with, but because I mentioned that other author down the line, I'm going to mention the first author here. So a couple of years ago, my friend, the awesome author Kate Elliott, was kind of in a place where she didn't know whether she was going to write anymore. She's honest about this on her Patreon. So she started poking at an idea, and that idea has got written and got sold and will be published. I've read the first one of these. The series is called The Witch Roads. It's a duology. Both are coming out this year. I've read a review copy of The Witch Roads already. But The Nameless Child is coming out in November, so I can pick this one since I haven't read The Nameless Child yet because there's no arcs for that one yet. This is big fat fantasy the Kate Elliott way. We have a mother as a protagonist. We have big, extensive, interesting world building. We have magic systems. We have investigations, and we have interrogations of the nature of power and authority and duty and a mother's love for their child, a child wanting to choose their own identity. The novel is queer. The child wants to choose their own identity, even though their real parent has other ideas about that. So it hits all of the Kate Elliott notes that you love and enjoy. And I ate up The Witch Roads with a spoon, and I'm looking really forward to The Nameless Child in November. This is Kate Elliott hitting everything on all cylinders. This is a quintessential Kate Elliott fantasy novel. So I'm really excited for The Nameless Child and for everybody else to get to read The Witch Roads in April, I believe, is when it comes out. And they have interesting and engaging covers too, with really good art. The Witch Roads by Kate Elliott and The Nameless The Nameless Child? Nameless Land. I'm an idiot. Nameless Land in November. The person responsible for that mistake has been sacked. I believe that means it's your turn.
Yes, Trish, it's up to you.
Okay. Well, there are a lot of good books coming out this year. My eyes are too big for my time, and I have signed up to review a whole lot of things for Skippy and Fancy this year. But the thing I'm looking forward to most that is coming up soonest, toward the end of February, when I read the promo copy for it, it looks like it reminds me a lot of Alex Axe's Hunger Makes the Wolf, which I ate up with a spoon, and I'm expecting to really enjoy Lilith St. Crow's Coyote Run. And I'll just read, Lilith St. Crow serves up science fiction pulp in a North America fractured by drones, bioweapons, and ideology, giving us a heroine practically made out of violent resistance. So, she's a shapeshifter, her sister is locked in prison, she's planning to get her out, and punch a lot of fascists on the way. So, yeah, looking forward to that.
Humble brag, yes, I've read a review copy. For a possible blurb, they'd never actually used the blurb, but I've read a review copy of that. Yes, you're going to love it, Trish. Yes, readers, you're going to love this. Lots of fascist punching occurs. Trust me.
Yep. David.
And, so shamefully out of touch on what's coming out, that I think I'm going to have to say that the book I'm most looking forward to is the one that I'm going to tell you about a year from now when I look back.
All right. Well, I'm sure you'll find something.
Fair enough. Okay. Well, I could mention this book, which is The Night Word by
R.C.
R.C.
Garcia,
Garcia, which we are interviewing Rhonda about, except that book came out last year. I am looking forward to it, but the book I really want to highlight, because I already know that we're going to cover this one, and so people are going to get a wonderful feel, and I'm going to gush about it a billion times anyway. The one I would like to mention is a South Korean author's new book that I'm actually pretty excited for. Anton Her is the translator for Boro Chung's Midnight Timetable, a novel of ghost stories, which is great because if you know anything about Borchung, and if you don't, David, what are you doing? I don't know why I'm pointing at you, but Borchung writes some horrific stuff. You should read some of it. It's going to be Korean horror with sci-fi twists. It involves a mysterious haunted institute ? Weird and strange allegories and horrors of animal testing, conversion therapy, domestic abuse, and late-stage capitalism. So, like all the political buttons I like to see pushed. It is described as equal parts bone-chilling, wryly funny, and deeply political. It's a masterwork of literary horror from one of our time's greatest imaginations. Which, I mean, is a little lofty, like one of our time's greatest imaginations part, but like, I get it. They got to do the like book cover and make it really cool. But Borchung is legitimately really freaking good. So, yeah.
I've read a different book that was translated from Korean into English by Anton Ur, and I enjoyed that translation. So
I think I'm Waiting for You by Kim Bo Young?
No.
Okay, you should read that too.
In my copious free time, Shaun.
Well, David for sure, I think, would really actually like Borchung's work. Cursed Bunny would probably be the collection to go for. There's some pretty interesting and strange and horrific stuff in there. But I think David,
no,
it was Blood
of the Old Kings.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
So epic fantasy. Yeah.
Yeah.
I really like that translation. So yeah.
I taught some.
I think.
Some last this past semester, I taught some of Borchung's work, and it was wonderful because Borchung is just wild. Writes some like banana stories that I would love to see filmed, and I just know like Americans couldn't handle it, definitely. So anyway, yeah. So then we're on to media object to Paul.
I'm going to do it musically.
No.
Murderbot, 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 bot. Supposedly, the Apple TV adaptation of Murderbot will come out this summer. And yes, I will probably have to sign up for Apple TV in order to watch this, because I'm going to watch this because, as Shaun pointed out earlier, Martha Wells is one of my heart authors and one of my friends, and I am very excited that her wildly successful Murderbot series is now coming to television. I really want to see what they do with it. How do you film Murderbot? How do you film a very introspective, in the head story like Murderbot? How do you show the rise and fall of Sanctuary Moon, if at all? These are questions I want answers to, and I intend to find out those answers. And if it gets more people to read Martha Wells' work, that's even all the better. So yeah, Murderbot coming hopefully this summer to Apple TV.
Nice. So Trish, what about you?
Okay, I know Andor Season 2 is coming in the spring, and it'll probably be great, but what really got me excited when I saw the trailer for it, so excited that I will probably actually put on a mask and go out to a movie theater to watch it, is Ryan Coogler's Sinners, starring Michael B. Jordan and a bunch of other people. And the trailer reminded me of nothing so much as the Call of Cthulhu campaign Harlem Unbound, a campaign that I saw of Harlem Hellfighters Never Die, which was about World War I people coming back to Harlem and finding out that, there were having escaped the horrors of World War I, they were now encountering horrors in Harlem. And this is not set in Harlem, it's set, it looks like the rural South, but, it looks really interesting. I don't know much about it other than the trailer itself, because they've been keeping things pretty close to the chest. So, haven't seen a lot about the plot, but it looks like there's going to be horror at home after these people come back from their war. So, yeah, really looking forward to seeing what's up with that. Shaun, I can't hear you.
I believe that means...
So, but anyway, it should be David next, probably.
Yeah, sorry.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Well, I'm very, very curious to see 28 years later. Danny Boyle and Alex Garland are uniting on that, and certainly a very big fan of the first film in particular. I tend to run hot and cold with Garland's work, so I'm hoping that this will be I'll love this like Deus Ex, sorry, like Ex Machina.
Mm.
That'll be like one of the stronger works like that, as opposed to say Civil War. But the teaser has been is extremely evocative, so I'm very very curious to see what he and Boyle have got cooked up. And Sean,
Oh, David, you took mine, you bastard. Because yeah, you're right. 28 years later is going to be. It's being set up to be amazing, and I've been waiting for this darn movie for a long time because I love that series so much.
and apparently this is being set up as the first of a trilogy.
Oh, so we'll have a 5-movie series then.
Well, like they've apparently like this like there's a whole new arc that they're getting going with this. So it's sounding
Oh,
very ambitious.
I'm in. I'm in. Ah, great. Well, okay. So for me, then, the one I'll give instead would be probably the only Marvel thing I would say I'm legitimately interested in. Even though I'll probably see a lot of the other Marvel stuff, I'm just not that excited by most blockbuster stuffs. Um, but the fact that Daredevil is returning with the original cast, or at least most of the original cast, is actually something I'm pretty interested in. Mostly because I think the best Marvel television programming that they've done live action has in fact been the Daredevil TV show that was originally on Netflix. There are other good ones, but I just think there's something truly special about especially the first season of the original Daredevil. And I am genuinely excited to see Vincent D'Onofrio return as the Kingpin, who I thought was really, really quite menacing and really fun to watch on screen. So I don't really know anything about the story other than Kingpin, I guess, becomes mayor of Hell's Kitchen, I guess. But I'm just very excited to see what they do with it. Also, the choreography is going to be awesome, and so I like that. So that's what I'm going to say. Take that. But if you ask me if I'm excited by a certain actor returning to play Doctor Doom, not terribly. Although I'm sure he'll do a fine job. I'm sure it's just okay. It's fine.
Yeah.
Like I'm not
Yeah.
gonna say like I won't see it, right? I'm gonna see it, but it's just like
but yeah, I'm not excited. It's like this is what it is.
yeah. I mean, it's probably all some switcheroo nonsense, and he's actually just secretly Tony Stark from another universe who's pretending to be Doctor Doom, and Doctor Doom's really mad about the copyright infringement, and that's how all of the war happens.
I mean, a Tony Stark pretending to be Doctor Doom might actually be interesting. I mean, we do have someone on this podcast who's actually written a novel about Doctor Doom.
That's true.
Might be considered a matter expert. 3 now might be considered a matter expert on Doctor Doom.
Yeah, I know. Yes, I guess I think I share everyone's misgivings. It was like I've been waiting so long, for my favorite character and Marvel character to show up, and it's like it's like so. Really, the Roger Corman production is the only one that's going to even come. I don't know. I mean,
we'll see.
we'll see. I think I'll probably wait to hear what everyone else says before I bother.
Let's hope that it'll be good and not hope for the worst, because 2025 is giving us enough of the worst as it is.
Indeed.
Fair point.
Yeah. Is that even coming out in 2025, or is that
Supposedly.
Yeah,
I guess,
okay.
question
All
mark.
right.
I don't know.
Yeah.
What's
Okay.
coming
All
out
right.
for real? This whole year could be eaten up by a black hole for all I know.
Oh, yeah, and could yet
Spaghettification
happen,
of time.
which might be an improvement over other general prospects. So
You're not wrong, David.
So I know David's might have to bow out slightly sooner. So if it's okay with everybody, I'd like to start with David on the last round, which is our media object, or not media, other object thing, so that we make sure to get David's thing out for the world in case he's got a scooch. So David, what's your other?
Well, I'm cheating again. I'm just doing another media thing, but I've just been informed that Arrow is releasing a Blu-ray of Pupi Avati's The House with Laughing Windows, 1976 Italian horror film. It's a stunning work, and it answers the question of what you should do if you are ever invited to restore a fresco in Italy, and the answer is don't.
Oh boy.
But yeah, a wonderful mood piece. The titular house, when you actually get to see it, will live in your dreams.
Oh my.
Okay, David, I'm
Even if you
intrigued
don't,
now.
even if it only plays a very small part, but it's just, yeah. Turns out that if you paint smiling mouths over the walls and shutters of a house, it doesn't really look like the sort of place you want to go into.
No.
Oh, no.
Fun fact.
Excellent.
So over to Paul.
Paul, yeah.
Okay, I'm going to do this by the Socratic method. Trish, what game franchise have I been playing since 1990?
Sid Meier's Civilization.
That's right. Thank you, Trish. So the seventh version of this series, Civilization 7, is coming out in less than 2 weeks as of this live broadcast. And since the last full starting new Civ game came out last in 2016, I think we're ready for another new Civilization game. Yes, there have been patches and DLCs and all these other packs for the last 8 years, but now we're finally going to get a brand new game of Civilization. It's going to be different. It's going to be broken up into, you change civilizations across 3 ages. Leaders are not tied to Civ. So if you want to play Ben Franklin, you're going to have to, well, America doesn't exist in the ancient age, so you're going to start with Ben Franklin of Rome, or even Ben Franklin of the Maya, and then go to something in medieval, Ben Franklin of the Normans or the Abbasids, and then you could play Ben Franklin of America. I'm really interested to see how these new mechanics and the new ways they're doing things all interlock together. I've been playing Civ since the original one in 1990. If you look at my Steam account, I've put more hours into Civilization 6 than any other game, and my number 2 game is Civ 5, so I think I'm invested in the series just a bit at this point. So, yes, I'm excited for Civilization 7.
I just got one word for you.
Yeah.
Just one, Paul.
What's that?
Nerd. You nerd.
Oh, here's a fun fact for you, Shaun.
No.
The first Civ I always play the first time I open up crack up a new Civ is always Rome.
Of course, it's where you were born.
Yeah.
When you came out of the chrysalis from the ground. Yeah.
Sadly, while Civ 6 did have Trajan as a leader, in Civ 7 we don't have Trajan, we have Augustus. We're back to Augustus. So my first game will be Augustus leading Rome, and where he goes from there, I don't know. Augustus of America? I could do that, maybe.
Maybe.
We'll find out.
All right, Trish, it's up to you.
Okay, but first, Configuration Queen wonders if you know who's doing the music for it. Will it be Christopher Tin again?
I have to look that up. They've got a number. I think they have a number of people doing the music, actually.
All right. Well, while Paul looks that up, I will talk about my other thing I'm looking forward to this year, and that would be role-playing games. I have had a really great year with various games that I've gotten involved in, almost all of them off screen, but I'm currently involved in a fantastic adaptation of the Cold War / Hot City role-playing system called Thunderchild, which is based on 6 months after the War of the Worlds. And there's a lot of intrigue and alliances, and I'm having a great time doing that. I'm also really hoping that the Star Trek Adventures campaign that I'm in will resume sometime in the spring, because I had a great time with that when that was happening. But also just, I've been pretty lucky with a lot of one-shots that I have picked up through being involved in several TTRPG discords. One I'll recommend for that is the Good Friends of Jackson Elias Discord, which you can get to if you look up their podcast in the show notes, and there'll be a Discord invitation. Good community there, but also they run a lot of pickup games there, and you just have to, look for the next opportunity for something to play. So I've gotten a lot of good gaming in that way.
And a lot of different systems, too.
Yes, I've gotten to try
Not just Call of Cthulhu.
a whole lot of different systems, too, which is fun.
Fantastic.
To answer Configuration Queen's question, the soundtrack of Civilization VII is set to be composed and arranged by Jeff Knorr and Roland Rizzo, with Grammy winner Christopher Tin contributing 2 tracks, including the main theme, Live Gloriously, and the opening cinematic cue. So he's not running the entire show, but for those who don't know, if you've probably heard a Civ theme song, you've probably heard Civ 4's Baba Yet To, because that's the one everybody plays. That's Christopher Tin.
Mm-hmm.
That's the one everybody remembers, and if you've ever played Civ, that's the one that probably runs through your head. So yes, so Christopher Tin is back, although he's only doing the opening, the main theme in the opening cinematic. So yes, so there you go, Configuration Queen.
Okay. Since it's the top of the hour, does David need to go now? Can't hear you.
Well, you're muted, so...
Shaun, I want to hear what your other thing is.
Okay.
Oh, mine? Okie dokie. Fine. So Trish has technically taken one of my options, because I am also looking forward to TTRPG stuff, because Steven, who's in chat at the moment, is likely to run some stuff. Paul is running our Star Trek Adventures game, which is a lot of fun, and we may have some talks about that, and I just really enjoy it. But I'm not going to pick that one. I could also have picked all of the movies I'm going to ruin David's life with, because at some point we will do Totally Pretentious, and I know you've picked something, I can't remember what it was called, but you picked something that is going to hurt me inside somehow, because I made you watch Independence Day and The Mummy. Yeah, so I'm looking forward to picking...
but I picked the car.
Yeah, I'm gonna get weird with it.
Necromantic
to be
2.
fair, you would enjoy that. Necromantic 2, good lord. At least you didn't pick like Cannibal Holocaust, because that I would just say no. Yeah, that's just too much.
I wouldn't do that.
No. But the thing I will pick, because I'm not actually going to torture David, so that would actually be a lie. I'm not going to do that on purpose. But I'm really excited that somehow Daniel just decided we're doing Thrawn and on the show again. And I didn't know till I checked the schedule, and I was like, why is this here, Daniel? And he was like, oh, I thought you wanted to do it. And I was like, okay, let's do Thrawn and on, which is our Star Wars Expanded Universe literature show that we did for a while. And I guess Daniel and I are reviving it. And I now get to pick the books that he's going to pick from of what we're going to do for the next episode. Because, yeah, I love Star Wars and I love the expanded universe stuff, even when it's ridiculous. And I'm kind of stoked to try to start it up again. And also, thanks, Daniel.
Nice.
Well, that's it. We did it, guys. So,
Yay!
While we're closing out, if folks in chat would like to let us know what any other things they're looking forward to, we'll start the closeout process. But this is really, really great, and we hope to have a really good year.
Mm-hmm.
Because if not, we'll all cry probably if it's a bad year. Anyway, you guys get it. Look, it's fine. Okay. So I'm going to say that's it, folks, for the podcast part. So if you'd like to let us know what you thought about the episode, you can go to skiffyandfanty@gmail.com via email. And email us there if you'd like, and let us know what you thought. You can certainly email us your things that you loved. We can only cover so much, so we'd love to hear from you if you are so inclined. You can also follow us all the places. Please share our things on all the socials. We're on Blue Sky, Threads, Insta, and a bunch of other places. Our new link now for all our stuff is, if I'm correct, skiffyandfanty.com/skiffythings, which looks like a link tree, but now is on our darn webpage. And so you can go there to find links to all our stuff, including our Patreon, our newsletter run by Stephen Geigen Miller, and our blog, which has reviews by some of the people who are with me presently, and some other folks who are not presently here, and at least one who has a Hugo Award. At least one.
Fun fact.
We're working on getting that to at least 2. and then everyone has one. Yeah, that's the rule. Again, Skiffy and Fanty will be live pretty much every Friday at 7 p.m. Central on my Twitch channel, twitch.tv/alphabetstreams, which is where I will be as well. If you want to find me and my stuff, ShaunDuke.net/Duke Things. That is for all of my things. You can find me there. Okay, I'm done. Next.
You can find me, Trishy Matson, at at newsy.social/TrishyM on Mastodon, on Blue Sky, at PE Matson, and on my blog at www.whatsthewordnow.blogspot.com, and of course, writing reviews pretty regularly for the Skiffy and Fanty Show.
You can find me streaming across the internet as Prince Justin with a V, PRINCEJVSTIN. I do book reviews, I do podcasting, I do streaming, I do sharing photography. I have a Patreon. I am a force of genre goodness across the internet on some days.
You can find me on Facebook and on Mastodon at David Annandale at social.horrorhub.club. And my most recent work is a serialized Legend of the Five Rings short story that you can get online right now, The Record of a Heath.
And also, David's got a book coming eventually.
More,
I'm very
that'll be in
excited for
November.
David's next book.
More details
Keep
as
an
I
eye
get
out.
them.
Yeah, I'm excited. All right, folks, we're ending the podcast. So, as is required by the Skiffy and Fanty bylaws, I have to make it awkward. Except this year, I'm only going to say happy things that make you feel gooey inside. And so I want everybody to close their eyes, and I want you to envision a room full of hypoallergenic kittens that are gently pawing and going mew, mew, mew all over your body and rubbing and purring and all of those lovely things. That is what I want you to remember. Happy ending and scene.
Take care of yourselves and each other.
Stay frosty.
If you want to support this show, you can go to patreon.com/skiffyandfanty or skiffyandfanty.com, our website, where you can get access to all of our fancy things. Our music comes from Holy Mole. You can support him and his work at patreon.com/holymole. Thank you for listening.